You wake up. No phone. No map. No Google. No compass. You're in a forest you've never been in before. It's dawn. You're hungry. Something nearby is watching you. You don't know what it is, but you feel it. Now, survive. Most of us would be dead in 72 hours. And yet, our ancestors did this. Every single day, for hundreds of thousands of years. In deserts, in ice, in jungle, in savanna. With no technology, no medicine, and no backup plan. We like to think of ancient humans as primitive. Grunting. Fumbling. Lucky to be alive. But here's the thing nobody tells you. In one very specific, very narrow area of intelligence, ancient humans weren't just good. They were operating at a level most of us will never reach. Not because they were superhuman, but because they had no choice. Before we go further, let's get one thing straight. When we say smarter, we're not talking about IQ scores. We're not talking about math, or reading, or philosophy. Ancient humans couldn't do calculus. They didn't write poetry. They had zero interest in the stock market. But intelligence isn't one thing. Psychologists have known for decades that human cognition is modular, meaning different kinds of intelligence are almost like separate systems running in parallel. There's verbal intelligence, mathematical intelligence, emotional intelligence, spatial reasoning, and then there's something researchers sometimes call ecological intelligence, the ability to read, understand, and predict the natural world around you. And in that one domain, ancient humans didn't just match us, they destroyed us. We're talking about a level of environmental awareness so precise, so detailed, so deeply embedded into their nervous systems, that modern scientists who study it are genuinely stunned. Let me show you exactly what that looked like. Most hunter-gatherer groups didn't roam randomly. They had a territory, a home range, often just a few hundred square miles, sometimes less. And within that territory, they knew everything. Not generally, not kind of, everything. Every plant species. Which ones were edible? Which ones were poisonous? Which ones could treat a fever, stop bleeding, or induce sleep? Modern ethnobotanists, scientists who study traditional plant knowledge, have documented indigenous groups with working knowledge of 300 to 500 plant species in a single region. Many of those uses have since been confirmed by Western medicine. They knew the animals. Not just there are deer here. They knew individual animal behavior. Migration patterns, mating seasons, which predators moved at night, what tracks looked like at different times of year, the sound a branch makes when a specific weight steps on it. They knew the land, the exact slope of every valley, where the water collected after rain, which rocks held heat longest, where the wind came from before a storm. And they knew the sky, not constellations as decoration, but as a calendar, a compass, a weather forecast, and a planting guide. The Aboriginal Australians, whose culture stretches back at least 65,000 years, have oral astronomical records of stars and their seasonal positions so accurate that modern astronomers have used them to verify historical star positions. 65,000 years of sky observations, passed down, in memory, without writing. Think about that. Here's where it gets really interesting. This wasn't just memorized knowledge. It was active perception, a mode of paying attention that modern humans have almost completely lost. Researchers who study traditional hunter-gatherer societies talk about something called deep tracking, the ability to reconstruct an entire event from almost no physical evidence. A skilled tracker from the Sand people of the Kalahari can look at a footprint in the sand and tell you the animal's weight, its approximate age, whether it was running or walking, how long ago it passed, and whether it was injured. They can do this because they've been training that skill since they were 3 years old. Not in a classroom, in the actual bush, with a mentor who learned from their mentor, going back generations. But here's what's wild. It's not just tracking. This same hyper-attentive awareness applied to everything. Sound. Ancient humans living in forest environments developed the ability to distinguish dozens of bird alarm calls, each one signaling a different predator at a different distance in a different direction. They weren't listening for birds. The birds were their early warning system. Smell. Smell is the most primitive sense, evolutionarily, and the one modern humans rely on least. But in environments where your nose could tell you whether a predator had passed recently or whether a water source was contaminated, people paid attention to smell in ways we simply don't anymore. Gut feeling. The famous intuition. Modern neuroscience now recognizes that the body stores pattern recognition in ways the conscious mind can't always access. Ancient humans who survived long enough to have children had extremely refined gut instincts, because the ones who didn't were dead. So if ancient humans had all this, what happened? 2 words: cognitive offloading. The moment humans started writing things down, we stopped needing to remember them. The moment we built calendars, we stopped reading the sky. The moment we built maps, we stopped building internal spatial models of the land. This isn't a bad thing. It's actually the whole point of technology. You offload cognitive work to a tool so you can use your brain for something else. But it means that specific neural pathways, the ones ancient humans spent their whole lives sharpening, we simply never develop. Studies on GPS use are instructive here. London taxi drivers, before GPS, had to pass the knowledge, memorizing 25,000 streets and thousands of landmarks. Scans of their brains showed a measurably larger hippocampus, the brain region associated with spatial navigation. After GPS became widespread, that advantage disappeared within a generation. We didn't get dumber. We just moved our intelligence to different domains. But there's something worth sitting with here. When you outsource a skill entirely, you don't just lose the skill. You lose the capacity to develop it. And with ecological intelligence, the ability to read the natural world, we have outsourced it so completely that most people today couldn't identify 5 wild plants in their own neighborhood. Our ancestors would find that genuinely baffling. Now here's the part most YouTube videos skip, the so what. Why does any of this matter? First, it changes how we think about human intelligence. The brain didn't evolve to do calculus or write code. It evolved to survive in complex, unpredictable natural environments. What we call primitive, humans were running that original software at full capacity. We've installed new apps, and they're incredible apps, but we've mostly stopped using the ones that came with the hardware. Second, it's a reminder that intelligence is always contextual. Ancient humans would be completely lost in a modern city. But drop most modern humans into the African savanna with no gear, and we'd be equally helpless in their world. Neither of us is smarter in any absolute sense. We're just optimized for different environments. And third, maybe most importantly, there's something we can actually do with this. Some researchers and educators argue that the attention deficits, anxiety, and disconnection from nature that plague modern populations aren't purely psychological disorders. They're also symptoms of a species that evolved for deep environmental engagement and is now almost completely cut off from it. Time in nature isn't just pleasant. For a brain built the way ours is, it might be closer to a basic need. Ancient humans weren't smarter than us across the board. They couldn't do what we do. And we wouldn't want to trade places. No dentistry alone makes that a hard no. But in that one domain, reading the living world around them, they were operating at a level of intelligence and attention that most of us will never touch. Not because we can't, but because we never had to. And maybe that's worth thinking about the next time you're outside, looking at your phone, missing the world that's right in front of you. If this video made you think differently about ancient humans, or about your own attention, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And I'll see you in the next one.